We now have the Newport Greyhounds up on stage. Coach Hinesley's here with three of his student athletes. Coach, if you would, just first introduce the players you brought today and then give an opening statement about the upcoming football season.
Sure will. Right here first to me is Monquel Cox. He is our running back and cornerback. Next to him, we have Clemmy Alcorn, who is our H-back receiver who can do multiple things out of the backfield. And also plays our linebacker on the outside. Then we have a Gideon Ball on the very end, and he's our guy in the middle. He's our center, and he kind of gets things going for us. And he's our only returning lineman, as a matter of fact. But as far as an opening statement, I'll say this about Newport. The one thing Newport is football. And we base everything on our tradition, and you know that when you come into town. This year, the number one thing that we definitely have is skill players. And we're very deep in skill players, and you're going to see that when you see a Newport Greyhound football game. Thing that we've been working on into the off season is our O-line depth and skill with those guys up front. Just because without them we won't be explosive as we want to be with those skill guys. So we're trying to make all that come together. On the defensive side of the ball, we have switched schemes. We're now an odd front team where we're trying to get some more skill guys up front maybe that can make things a little more disruptive. And just use our speed for what we have, and we're going to be attacking and aggressive, and we're just looking for good results. You know, the last 2 years, McGee has stopped us in the playoffs, and this year we're looking for how deep we can go.
Coach, Hootens has you pegged to win the conference this year. High expectations clearly by them, and I would expect so for you as well.
Well, I'm not going to say curse, but a lot of times it's one of those things where as soon as the book comes out, everybody looks forward, for it to coming out, and I'm that guy that knows we have a target on our back, but I'm that guy that also has a chip on my shoulder. And when you see that number one in the conference, it feels good because that's what all people vote on. But we want to earn that number one spot, and that's what I tell the kids every year when the Hootens comes out. Don't fall into that Hootens curse. We still have to earn that number one spot.
You talk about inexperience in the offensive line. How big of a concern is that for you?
Not a concern. We have a new offensive line coach this year. Coach Randy Johnson's coming to us, and he's going to help in that area. It's not a concern. Like I said, Gideon's our returning offensive lineman starter this year. We had 4 seniors that graduated and went on, and but the good thing about having the one returning starter that you do have is your center, and that's one thing Gideon is for us and what he kind of does for us. And it's a challenge. I don't ever consider it a weakness. It's a challenge, and those guys have been working hard, and they'll come together.
Defensive side of the ball. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Defensive side of the ball, we switched schemes for 2 reasons. We had outside linebackers that were disruptive, to be plain and simple. They were disruptive, and one of them is Clemmy Alcorn right here in the middle. Him and Jadarius Reed are going to be our outside linebackers, and the thing that they do, they don't let the ball get outside of them. And if anything does bounce outside to them, it's going to be aggressive. Those guys in particular is what's going to make us really good on the defensive side. And I'll be honest with you, we moved to an odd front defense because we always wanted to be an attacking defense with our blitzes, and we couldn't get that out of the forefront a lot of times. So we went to an odd front. We're having a lot of fun with it.
Gideon, pick up the mic. I want to visit with you a little bit, brother.
Okay.
Center, senior, you're a leader on the offensive line. How much responsibility is given to you to make calls on the offensive line?
I got some responsibility. The guys that are beside me, they learn quick. They help me out too. They're quick learners, and they, if I have trouble, I ask them, and they support me. They're behind my back.
One more question as a center. You mentioned y'all are going to an odd front. Do you like being covered up, or do you like being able to roam around against the linebackers?
To me, it doesn't matter. I'll go against anybody right now.
You know particulars? Do you have a favorite opponent, a big rivalry that you cherish more than anything else? And your coach mentioned, I'm part of the Newport tradition. I did my student teaching under Coach Keedy in 1989. So I'm part of that tradition. So much tradition, But to you, is there anybody in particular that you have your eyes on in the upcoming season?
Not really, no.
One at a time. I like that as well. I'll pass them. I'll keep asking. Your role, main role, what's your biggest priority heading into this football season?
My biggest priority heading into this football season, just to win games. That's what we've always been taught by Coach Hinsley, just to win, take it one game at a time.
One game at a time. Do y'all set a goal as going undefeated and going all the way to Little Rock, or just one game at a time?
Our goal is to eventually make it to state. I mean, one game at a time is all it's going to take. By God, God is going to give us whatever He wants to give us.
Okay, good deal. Just keep passing the mic down. Same question. Your role as one of these leaders for the Greyhound football team.
We just plan to win games and eventually get to state.
Now, both myself and Coach Hindley have mentioned the tradition of Newport football. What does being a Greyhound mean to you?
It means a lot because I'm born into a football family. I got a lot of family that played for the Greyhounds, so it means a lot to take up on their footsteps and fill in some big shoes.
Really big shoes. And like I said, I coach Nader Lee, Adrian Robinson, Leslie Ratliff. I don't even know if you know, those probably your grandparents' peers, but I appreciate the tradition that y'all have, and I look forward to y'all this upcoming football season. I think it ought to be a great year for the Greyhounds.
Yes, sir.
Coach, one more question
Sure.
to you. Defensively, do you look to attack more? Because you do have some athletic, some athletes in your defensive backfield.
Sure.
Will you roll the dice a little bit and bring the house more often?
Well, my past has been defensive. I've had defense on my resume since I've been working at Newport, and this year I've been switched to the offensive side of the ball, and it's kind of accumulation of things of what that I thought was good and what now I think is effective. And the reason for an odd front is we want to get a zero technique on the center, just like you were asking Gideon, as a guy that can be disruptive, because in the past I've seen the problems with an odd front. And even though you think it's a three front, the one thing that is hard to coach from a week-to-week basis is to have that center covered up, but then also bringing different looks every snap. And that's the idea, is we want to overload sides. We want to try to get as much pressure on that offensive line, because that's kind of where I cut my teeth, was offensive line play. And I just look for the things that would put me on the spot and make offensive line really have to think on the snap. And that's the reason for the change and the aggressive attitude towards it.
I look, and you call the defensive.
Yes, sir. Yeah, for the past, I've been doing the head coach, I guess, for the past, this is my 5th season, and before that, 3 more seasons, I did it all defense, and this year I'm making the switch over. But it's just we just have the kids now. It's just natural for that odd front look.
You do have some athletes, and I wish you the best of luck before I pass the mic on.
Thank you.
Coach, you mentioned you had been coaching defense up until this year, and then you've
Sure.
made the switch over to the offensive side. Do you think that maybe gives you a little unique perspective and preparation, that you've been on the other side of the ball for so long, and maybe gives you a little different look as far as when you're looking at film and,
Sure.
and studying?
Well, somebody questioned me on that. It's like, oh, you're moving to offense. Just because I've been at Newport, it's my 13th year. And I've done defense the whole time. And they question me on, oh, you're going to move to offense now. And my answer is that I'm still a football coach. And then the great thing about moving over is I'm going to bring a defensive mindset to offense. And I know what, and in my mind, if you're a good offensive play caller if you know defense, and you're a good defensive play caller if you know offense. So in my mind, having that defensive mentality on the offensive side of the ball is makes it just that much better. So that's how I believe, but it's been a change, but it's been fun. I'll be honest with you.
Coach, have you decided on a starting quarterback for this coming season?
I'm letting July play that out. And the take that I've had on that is, of course, you're the two guys you're talking about are Gavin Tarwaters, our senior, and Eli Alcorn, who is our junior high guy that pretty much I think he's undefeated as a junior high quarterback. Yes, is coming up, and they both have their strengths, and I've set them both down and told them that they both have their strengths, and we went through spring ball together, and they have taken, and these guys will tell you, when one takes a snap, the next snap is the other guy's. So they have almost taken equal snaps apiece. And really just trying to put them in positions. And I even give them in a pop quiz situation on the field. And I'm just trying to see what they can handle and just see who will work themselves into the spot. And July team camps is where we kind of figure that out.
Gotcha. Last year you went into week 10 and had a big game against Osceola. This year you play them again. This time it's at Osceola.
Yes, sir.
What are your expectations for
I'd be
season?
lying. I'd be lying if I said that we weren't looking to Osceola, just because this conference even knows that. And as he was discussing Newport tradition, it's Osceola. It was always Newport Batesville, Newport Osceola. Those were the games that you always heard about. So this conference puts us in line week 10 to meet those guys. And last year it happened where it was a 1-2 matchup, and I think I'd be lying if I said that wasn't what we're looking forward to. Just because of how they finished last year and what we met them week 10 last year in the game that we had. So I'd be lying if I said we weren't looking forward to it. And I'd be lying if I said that we weren't working all offseason for them. But it's an exciting game, and we're glad to be part of it, and we're looking forward to it.
Well, Coach, and you look at what they did in the postseason and how deep they went, and you got to look at that and think, man, that could be us this year.
Well, hey, I'll tell you what, I was the first one in the stadium the night they played Booneville, just because I knew what they were capable of doing. That night they had a state championship, I was the first one in the stadium, and I was the last one to leave, I promise you, because I was wanting to see what they could do too.
Coach, if you would just give a closing statement in regard to the upcoming season.
Sure. Like we talked about earlier, Newport tradition, we're going to work with speed. And what I tell these guys every year is what I told you earlier about that Hootens book. We start every year to create an identity. And this year's identity is to be hungry. And our goal this year is to go into an off season or go into our preseason with the idea of getting better those first 3 games. We want a conference season that puts us in a spot to be the number 1 in the playoffs, and then we want to have a long, deep run in the playoffs. And this is our year, in my opinion, that I want to see a long run with these guys.